All right. All right, I'll just give it another, just like another minute just to let people trickle in. And then we will begin. Oops.
Are you going to read the contents of each slide?
Yes, I will. I think we can go ahead and start. So welcome everyone who's joining us for our session on Loving's Bridge Builder project, turning member-led goals into long-lasting community connections. I'm
Buenos días,
Sarah
bienvenidos
Allery,
a la presentación de...
and joining me today will be Philip Timme and Sam Katz speaking, and we also have an interpreter with us, and I'll let him introduce himself now.
Good morning. My name is Alfonso, and I'm here to assist with interpretation, English, Spanish, Spanish, English. So if there are questions, you could write them in the chat in Spanish if you prefer, and then I can translate them for everyone else to understand. Otherwise, I believe most of the presentation will be in English, and then I will be interpreting to Spanish. Soy Alfonso. Estoy aquí para ayudar con la interpretación y durante la presentación hay un chat abajo en la pantalla donde pueden hacer preguntas o comentarios, y si acaso hay preguntas, pues yo puedo cambiar de canal y hacer las preguntas en inglés para que los presentadores puedan entenderlas. Y los que están ahí que quieren hablar o quieren escuchar en español, favor de cambiar su canal a español. ¿Ok? Gracias.
Thank you very much. All right, so I will begin. So I first want to give a little background / history on the Bridge Builder project. So living our visions inclusively, that's our organization's title fully, but you'll hear us refer to ourselves as Loving most of the time. This project began in 2009 when a group of families and individuals with disabilities realized that there was a barrier between themselves and community spaces, and they wanted help bridging that barrier. So they got together and they started to problem solve, and the solution was coming up with a bridge builder position. And that position was going to basically means hiring somebody that was going to be outside the family to help support their loved one in finding spaces in the community, whether it be clubs, sports, hobbies, anything in the community they wanted. We were going to be there as a support to make that happen. And so that is where bridge builders come in. I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the project so you guys have an idea of how like the vocabulary that we use, so as we go on, people aren't confused. So the position that I hold is bridge builder, and the position that Sam and Philip hold is bridge builder member. So they are the members, they lead the goals that they have, and the bridge builder helps make those goals a reality. Bridge builders we hold between like around 13 members, give or take. Most of the time it's give. We might have a little bit more than 13 members. And then a big part of our job that's important that Sam and Philip might reference is something we call check-ins. And check-ins are once a week. We meet with our members roughly, and we will go over goals, how their week is going, how community spaces are working. It is a little different now because of COVID, like most of our lives. So check-ins now, a lot of them are done virtually, but they also, if the weather permits, we can still be in person, being safe, wearing masks. Walking check-ins have been very popular in the summer. So check-ins are a big part of Bridge Builder, my position. And the big thing with Bridge Builder is that my job looks very different depending on which member I work with. So when I'm giving you like a rough idea about Bridge Builder, but also understand that it's very different depending on the member. So going into what bridge builders do, I love that Sam and Philip are here to talk about their side of what bridge builder is. I'm going to talk right now about what my job looks like for me. The biggest part of bridge builder is that it is member-led planning, meaning we listen to what our members want, what their goals are, and we work from there. So even if we have members that don't even know what their goal might be, my job is to listen when having a conversation with my members and then kind of interpret what I'm hearing into like, maybe this is like a spot in the community that they might like to be. And then all the steps in between making those goals into a reality for my members and making them feel comfortable and safe wherever they are. To get a better a sense of what my job is, I wanted to explain a success story on my end with one of my members. So I have a member that started fairly recently. This was pre-COVID. She, when I met with her, she was very shy and quiet. She didn't really have a specific goal in mind. When I asked her like right off the bat what a goal she would have for bridge builder, she was like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, that's fine, like let's just talk. And as we began talking, she said that she wanted to learn the bus route system and how to like take public transportation. She would love to start going to the gym and she would love to get a job. And when she was telling me this stuff, she wasn't telling me that those were goals. That's something that she just wanted in life. And as a bridge builder, I listened to that and I realized, well, these are goals that she has, and I would love to help. So when I started with her, I think a natural, like the first step I took was, okay, well, let's learn the busing system and how to how to get on a bus, how to read the times, how to go online and look at the bus stops, all that stuff. Because once we learn the transportation part of this, stuff like volunteering, jobs, going to the gym, that's going to fully open up for you. So that was our first goal that we had. We decided that we would learn the busing system together. So what that looked like in the beginning for me was driving to her home a little bit before the scheduled time the bus was going to come, and walking up to the door, knocking, getting her talking as we walked to the bus stop together, getting on the bus together, like having her pay, use her card, asking her, do you remember what bus stop we're going to be getting off at? And since going to the gym was also a goal that I heard, it was a natural place for me to be like, well, we'll tie these goals together. We'll learn the bus route to get to the gym. So I looked up the bus route with her and we learned the stops we'd have to take. And so that was the natural progression of our goal. And so we got on the bus, we go to the gym, we get off the bus, she would do an hour at the gym, we'd get back on the bus, go home, and I would leave from her home. And that's what we worked on. And we did that a couple times together. And, one day she got off the bus and she said, I don't want you to come with me on the bus anymore. I want to do this by myself. And I said, okay, sounds good. Well, how about I drive myself to the gym and I will meet you there, and you'll get on the bus from your home. You'll take the bus to the gym and I'll meet you there. I'll be at the bus stop when you get off. So that's what we did for the next couple of weeks. Is I would drive to the gym, I would walk to the bus stop where she was going to be. I would wait for her and we'd walk to the gym together. She'd do her hour session. I'd walk her back to the bus stop. She'd get on, go home. I would text her and make sure she got her home okay. I would text mom to make sure she got home okay. And that's what we did for a couple of weeks. And then she said, I don't want you to meet me at the bus stop anymore, or walk me to the bus stop anymore. And I said, okay. So naturally, she really wanted that independence. She was able to go to the gym by herself, get back on the bus. And so that was like 2 goals completed. She learned the bus route, she went to the gym, which was a goal. And so as a bridge builder, I was like, okay, let's kind of extend this some more. Let's our check-in won't be at the gym anymore or on the bus together. Our check-in will be at a library that's on your bus route. So you can go to the gym now by yourself, and let's meet at the library to have our check-in together, and you can take the bus. And so we would meet at the library then. She would go to the gym by herself, but we would meet at the library for a check-in. And then the next progression of her goals was, I remember her saying she wanted a job. So I would sit and talk with her about what kind of work experience she has, where would she like to work. And through talking with my member, I realized that she wasn't quite ready for a job. She didn't feel that she was ready. She hadn't had a job in a while. And so she was scared to kind of work a full-time or part-time job. And listening to that, I thought, well, how about we try volunteering in a space that kind of mirrors a job like place? And she loved that idea. So we sat together and we searched on the computer volunteer spaces, and where she would like to volunteer. And once she picked a spot as a bridge builder to help her meet that goal of volunteering, I emailed the place, I connected with their volunteer coordinator. I got all the information I needed that she would need as well to start volunteering. And so the next check-in we had, she took the bus to the library. We sat down. I gave her the information that I had found out. We need to fill out an application. So I sat with her and filled out the application. Told her I would send it in, told her about how long it would take for them to get back to us. And I waited with her during that time to hear back from the volunteer site. She got it. So our check-ins now changed to being at the volunteer site. So before she would start doing her work, we would have some conversation together, see how she's doing. She took the bus to the volunteer site by herself, and I would support her in that community setting. And sure enough, after a couple of weeks, learning the tasks, learning the jobs, learning the people and how to interact with customers if she needed to, she told me, I don't want you on the floor with me anymore. So the natural progression for that was saying, okay, how about I sit in the back room? I'll check in you when we both arrive at your volunteer site. Then I'll go sit in the back room and I'll check on you every 10 to 15 minutes. How does that sound? And she said, yeah, that sounds perfect. So I would go into the back room, the staff lounge, while she was on the floor doing her tasks. And I would check in every 10 to 15 minutes. And she felt, after a couple of weeks, she felt super comfortable in that space with those people within her tasks. And my schedule changed a little bit as a bridge builder, and I would have to leave early. And so I was worried about how she would take that, because I was, up until that point, I was telling her, oh, it's time for you to leave, time to go get the bus. And she said, no, I'm fine. I don't need you to tell me when to leave. I'll look at the clock, and I'll walk over to the bus stop by myself. So that was a really natural progression as well in her goals and independence. She was ready to do it by herself. She was ready to get herself to the bus. And so that was a really big success story for me. And I was not prepared for how fast she gained her independence in these tasks. So that was a really big win for me. But on the other side of that, one of the things I want to cover too with Bridge Builder is that timeline. This member, she did all of these goals within, like, I want to say 3 or 4 months. Like, she was really fast and wanting to learn new stuff, wanting the independence. But as a bridge builder, it doesn't always work like that. And most of the time, like, goals can move pretty slowly. I also have a member who she had a bridge builder that helped establish her a community connection at a senior center doing lunch and bingo. And she has been doing the lunch and bingo there before I was her bridge builder, so well over a year. And it wasn't until I got sick one time and I told her I wasn't going to be able to pick her up that Thursday for lunch and bingo because I was sick. And she said, okay, I hope you feel better and I'll see you next week. And the next week when I saw her, I picked her up for lunch and bingo, and we were driving over to the senior center to eat lunch and play. And I asked her, so what'd you do on Thursday? I'm so sorry I was sick. And she said, oh, I went to bingo. And I said, you went you went to bingo? And she said, yeah. And I said, oh, did mom take you? And she said, no, I took a transportation service. And I said, what? You not only went to bingo without me, but you also, nobody drove you there. You took a transportation service. And that's over a year of doing lunch and bingo with the bridge builder, driving her there. And so I was like, okay, we need to like kind of run with this momentum. And I said, how would you feel about doing, taking a transportation service there every Thursday, so I'm not driving you? And she said, that's fine. Like, that works for me. And I said, okay. Because ultimately a bridge builder's goal is to, be there with our member until they feel established in the community and they feel they can have their independence there. And then we fade out. So our ultimate goal is to always fade out, leaving the bridge builder member feeling safe and secure in their own community own community setting. So that's really important to us. The other thing I want to touch on is a little bit on how the Bridge Builder project has changed during COVID. I think I just want to mention that Sam and Philip might mention this later on, but we run away because so many sites are shutting down because yet. So how we keep community going during this time is running virtual distractions. So that's Love runs quite a few, anything between like voter group, movie group, book club, art group. There's so many. If Sam and Philip can probably lead more, I'm kind of blanking on them. But that's one way that we're kind of encouraging community involvement, is that people go on Zoom and they talk and they share interests like art group. And that's one way that we as bridge builders, even though we're not able to be out in the community volunteering or at the senior center playing bingo, we're still encouraging our members to talk and be together via Zoom and these virtual distractions. So moving along, this next part, you guys will get to hear what Bridge Builder project is like for two of our members, Sam and Philip. So that is our Love Inc. member panel. And I will read the questions out loud and then let Sam and Philip answer. So our first question, or our first thing, is introductions. So I'll have them introduce themselves, starting with Philip and how long they've been in the Bridge Builder project.
Hi, I'm Philip Tammy, and I've been a part of the Bridge Builder project for 2 years now.
Go ahead, Sam.
And I am Sam, and I've been a part of the project since actually as you alluded to, Sarah, since families decided that a project like that was necessary. So I've been here a very long time. Let's
Since
just put it
2009.
that way.
Yes. All right, thank you guys. Our first question is, how is the structure of the Bridge Builder project unique to you? And you can talk about this pre-COVID and post-COVID because it has changed. So Sam, go ahead and you can lead us off. Oh, there you go. Hey, Sam, you're muted. There you go. Go ahead and answer.
Yep. So pre-COVID, at least when I ran into Sarah, I had connections in the community from various places that I needed to maintain. Sarah will attest that I don't email all that well. I don't like my friends have this thing that they call a Sam email, and it's not a compliment, right? So like being able to maintain communications and being able to maintain a schedule, whether that's school, whether it's my Zoom calls, and actually I have another friend that Sarah and I have made. Shout out to my sister. She's here. That sends me a Zoom link for our weekly check-in if I don't know where that is. But so my check-in with Sarah pre-COVID was very much maintaining the level of engagement, making sure that everything was done that was needed to be done. And Ridge Builders aren't perfect, right? But they are independent of like an agency structure, which can be really useful when troubleshooting things. And so I really appreciate it. And post-COVID, it's really about making sure that I'm okay, because obviously these are kind of unsettling times we live in, and obviously some of the virtual distractions are designed to target some of those, but it's no longer become about goals in the community, since obviously that's a little more risky.
Yes. Thank you, Sam. Philip.
I think the structure of the Bridge Builder project is unique, is because it focuses on member-driven goals. Like the Bridge Builder member comes up with their own set of goals to work on, and with their Bridge Builder, they work on turning those into reality. And I think post, or like in the time of COVID, I think that we've adapted well to having virtual distractions. We get an email like every week with a list of activities that will happen in the following week. And also my Bridge Builder checks in with me like about how I'm doing, probably a bit more in a time of COVID, because there's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not technically post-COVID. We're still in COVID.
Yeah.
I also want to clarify a little bit. There are 3 bridge builders and I'm one of the 3. So yes, I am currently Sam Katz's bridge builder, but Philip has a different bridge builder. So that's what he's referencing to. All right, moving on to the next question. What are some of your bridge builder goals? Please feel free to share your goals you have accomplished or are currently working on. And Philip, you can start us off this time.
One of my goals is meeting people around my age in the community. I'm part of Best Buddies, and I think that's an important organization. However, like they're younger than me, and like sometimes they'll move out of Wisconsin. And so one of my goals has to meet more people who are more grounded in the community, and around my age, and and ways that I have been doing that. I use the site Meetup that has a lot of groups like on it, and I have done a writing group that I found on it, and I got to share like a story that I wrote at the writing group.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for sharing, Philip. Sam, how about you?
So when I was going over the outline today for the presentation, I realized that I wanted to take one step back. So what I wanted to say was that loving, because of their structure, they don't have like we will meet a goal, whether that is about an individual's goal or whether that is about a family goal, or whether that is really best served in sort of a larger group. And so we have Fearless Futures, which is designed to help people come up with a plan, an emergency plan for when their parent or guardian may not be available. We also have an Iris and family care group, and I think lately my family would attest that these groups are very, very useful to them. But I do have a goal which I want to just briefly mention, that I took two trips, one by plane and one by car, and both of those I took because Caston, one of our past ridge builders, was able to keep me going on all the faxing and all the signing and all the paperwork that a car rental company requires, and were able to get me going out of town without my parents having to do it or worry about it. So I think sometimes they also give you independence from the family, which is good.
Yes. I would definitely agree. Sam, can you kind of elaborate on that? So you had a past Bridge Brother cast-in who helped make this goal of traveling. Can you talk about a little bit about the trip you took and like what went well, what didn't go well?
Yeah, well. So my friend lives in, or lived in at the time, California, and I have some family out there, so I stayed with them for a couple of days. But she wanted me to get to California by 1 in the afternoon, California time, which necessitated that I A, go along with this plan, and B, get up at 5 a.m. And the cab company decided to drop me off at an entrance that's actually far away from the airline check-in counter. And as it turned out, my boarding pass wasn't marked correctly, so there was some confusion. But at the plus side, I got one of the new Delta GPS tags for my walker, which was great. And they probably wouldn't have done it if I didn't have so much extra time, roll eyes. So because the walker did actually get left behind at LAX, so they had to find me a rental and get the walker back to them. And they had a GPS tag, so they were able to figure out exactly what was going on. And that's why I always fly Delta, because I was impressed with the way that they treated people with disabilities. But I don't recommend getting up at 5 a.m.
So overall, would you say your trip was a success, just so people aren't worried?
Yeah. I got to my friend. I got to the house. The tacos in California are good. So.
Okay. Real quick, I think I see a hand from Ramsey Lee. Do you have a question?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. My question is, do you have to be in the colony to be in the Bridge Builder program?
That's a really great question. So as a whole, Love Inc. services communities outside of Dane County. It is a little bit difficult. I don't want to say that we don't serve, Bridge Builder doesn't go outside of Dane County. It's just a little bit more difficult with driving to and from and scheduling those things, those appointments and stuff. But I think that we have thought about or have tried at some point to extend outside of Dane County. I would love to kind of look into that for you and give you like a definitive answer, Ramsey. So I will look into that and figure out a way to get in touch or answer that question later on. Thank you. So before or next, there's one more question I have for Sam and Philip. And we will move on to that. So what does community connection mean to you? And what community connections, oops. What community connections have you most enjoyed while being a part of the Bridge Builder project? So Sam, if you want to go ahead and start us off. Or a moment to think?
No. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Give me a second. So I think the thing is that everything has its motion, right? So I think one thing that Bridge Builder is very good at, because it sees you so often, is to cope with changes, right? So 1 month you may want to do a lot, the next month you may want to do less. Um, uh, and so I think the thing is about meeting the member where they're at, but also being willing to see where they're going. And I think with the example of some of the things I've alluded to before, I think that we try things, right, and then we decide whether they worked or not. And some things that I've enjoyed lately are classes. There was a there was a kind of a safe sex class that I took that was offered by a Woman's Touch, one of Stephanie's students. We've done meditation classes in the past. We've done other things like that. And so we are very good at integrating people into the community, but also finding our own spaces if that's what's necessary. And I'll let Hillup elaborate on that.
Go ahead, Philip.
I think that to me, community connections means I can do something outside the home without having to depend on my parents for it. And the community connections that I most enjoyed, Sam actually helped us start an improv group, and we met at a college in Madison and play like improv games, and it was it was fun to get out into the community and to meet other people.
Yeah, I want to touch base on that because Sam failed to mention this part of his involvement in the improv group.
No, I didn't fail to mention it. I deliberately failed to mention it.
Okay.
But I will say, so this was a connection with a professor. So in a completely different setting, sort of as a formal student teacher role. And you know, when Zach came to me and said, do improv, I said no, because I was working whole time. But when Zach came to me next week and said, well, I said, how did your outing to Mercury, the Hercury players on I would go? He said, terrible. And I looked at that and I said, well, maybe I can help. And I presented the contact information and I also offered to be a little bit of a go-between. And actually, I think I could safely say this on recording that I didn't actually predict that she would say yes, but I was very happy she did. And I also I think that speaks to our flexibility. You know, we're all about families helping families, and we do, but also I also help staff sometimes, and that just seemed to me to be an obvious thing to do, because this is what this teacher teaches is improv to people that have stage fright, because all the people in acting one always want to run the other way. So I thought it would be successful. So.
Yes, so it was thanks to Sam's connection at Edgewood, knowing this professor as a formal student, that he was able to make the connection. This might be a professor that would like to host an improv class, which Zach, who he mentioned, is a bridge builder who kind of took that and rolled with it and was able to make a improv class working with that professor. So it is thanks to that connection that Sam already had, and talking to the professor and connecting the professor then to a bridge builder, that this class was made, and is a favorite for a lot of people. And I think this was pre-COVID. It was the second year it's run. Is that correct, guys?
Think it's correct, but we have now adapted it to COVID, and like one of the magic things about improv that yes and right, that grab it and build with it, is that unlike a lot of the things other organizations are trying on Zoom, improv is like tailor made to it. It doesn't require very much adaptation. We can deal with the lag with multiple people speaking without a problem.
Yeah. So yes, improv has become one of our virtual distractions that we run on Zoom. With that, that is the end of our panel. We do have a little activity for you guys. I'm going to just switch over to the activity prompt. So hang on one sec. So this prompt, I wanted to touch, this was part of Philip and I actually, Philip was part of my interview process when I interviewed at Love Inc. And part of the interview process was an experiential portion where Philip gave me a scenario and I had to kind of fill in the steps within like a 10-minute period, and then write out an email detailing how an idea would go to a goal and how we'd make it reality. So that's our kind of our activity for today. I'll read out loud the prompt that the scenario that we have picked. It is: a member you've just started working with wants to meet new people in hopes of making friends. She lives in a small rural community where meeting people can be difficult. She would like to know how she can make friends within her own town and outside of it. So it says, please take the next 10 minutes. You can take the next couple of minutes to come up with a plan. Think about who you may need to contact in order to help your member's goal become achievable, or what resources you can utilize to help connect your member. Write out an email detailing the steps you and your member will take. And you don't have to write an email. I would just love to hear if people want to write in the chat, or they want to raise their hand and say like, how might you go about this task? And this scenario is it's a really good mirror of how we work as bridge builders with our members. And Philip, do you want to say anything about how this process worked with me?
Like I came up with a topic, um, and it was like a how to plan a family reunion, and then as part of the interview process, it was Sarah had to come up with how to make that possible.
Yeah, so I'll also open up this time for any questions so that people don't feel pressured to speak up about the scenario or give us resources. So I will jump back over to the slides. But feel free to either chat your questions or you can unmute and just ask them. Alyssa Hermanson, assistant director, is on the chat helping me out today. So go ahead and feel free to put your questions in the chat as well.
Looks like Ramsey might have a question. Ramsey, do you want to share?
I have a response to your scenario. But that's a real good scenario. I would connect that person to People First Wisconsin, because People First Wisconsin has hangouts every Tuesday and Wednesday for all around the state. So depending on where they're from, they can join the People First group.
Yeah, I love it. Also, Philip kind of helped out earlier in the presentation. He mentioned a site that I know Bridge Brothers, I personally use, and I think Zach uses as well, Meetup. Pre-COVID, when everybody could be out amongst each other, Meetup was a resource that we used because if you're not familiar with the site, you can select hobbies and interests that you have, and within your distance, like if you set the distance to 10 miles, 5 miles, 50 miles, it pools together all these different organizations of people. So if you're really into crafting, it will pool together people that have crafting groups or do pottery classes together. There's if you're really into like cinema, you know, there's people that go to movies together. And that's how Philip found the writing group. He was interested in writing, and so there's so many writing groups on Meetup. So Philip, I'm sure you got to take your pick of which writing group worked for your schedule, location. And that's a resource that Bridge Builders, I personally like to use a lot. And it gives a lot of power to our members to go in and pick what things interest them. And then you're going out and you're meeting people within those groups. They might be repeat groups. So you get to know those same people each week. So yeah, Meetup is also a really great one. Philip or Sam, do you have any resources that worked well for you guys?
On my guess, I was just like coming up with a list what you are in, of what you are interested in, and then start from there.
Yeah. There's many.
I think what I would say is, I think what I would say is that the first step to solving that particular problem is to identify if it's true. I mean, I think that we oftentimes overlook people in our lives that want to be our friends, but we're not putting any effort to maintaining them, which I think is hard as an adult. And I think that even you know, once we are in a community space, whether it's our own at Love or whether it's someone else's, it's much easier to maintain friendships because you can talk to people. And I used to have a co-working space I went to. I certainly at coffee shops and other places I could talk to people. Restaurants. Sarah doesn't like my favorite restaurant, my sister, but I highly recommend the Green Owl here in Madison. I like it quite a lot. So it's just finding those regular spaces.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Any other questions that I'm not seeing in the chat, or anybody want to unmute and ask any for not just me, but also Philip and Sam, if you guys, are you comfortable taking any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see, I'm gonna check the chat too.
Alyssa, you've been monitoring the chat. Do we have any questions so far?
We don't have any questions in the chat. We're just still talking through this community connections activity. So I can read some of those answers out loud if you guys want.
Yeah, that'd be great, Alyssa. Thank you.
Sure. So Terrell had said she could get to understand who she can or can't talk to, because some people are not good people to hang out with or be friends with, but she could go out and try to look for people at parks, malls, or on Facebook to try and find good people. Jacob had said she could go to community centers, church, or social media groups to try and find good people and to help motivate her to complete her goals or find people with similar goals, which is a great idea. Soteria had said she could ask people for extra help. Like, is it okay to make new friends that are being nice to you and use kind words? And to try and introduce herself. So I suggested maybe this individual should think about how she wants to introduce herself to new people. So she could do some reflecting on that. Angie said, identify her interests and start from there, which is a great place to start. And Soteria said, ask questions like, what are your favorite hobbies? What do you like to do? And questions like that.
So all of these are fine and good suggestions. I was not actually a Living Well member, but I do want to mention that we have a project. I believe it may have wrapped up, but we do have a project that talks about how to stand up for yourself in a variety of settings, including signs of abuse and other problematic characters.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Sam. That's actually, so the Living Well project is part of, it's a BPDD grant that we are a pilot site for. And what Sam is referring to is called the Safe and Free sessions. So our self-advocate leader, Emily Savage, who is another member of the Bridge Builder Project, she is co-facilitating Safe and Free sessions in Dane County virtually right now. That folks can join in on. So she'll be doing the next round of sessions in early 2021. But I know that that's happening statewide because there are several self-advocate leaders that are co-facilitating those groups.
Thank you so much for giving us that information, Alyssa. If people have questions on other projects that Love runs, I definitely encourage you guys to check out our website, and that's one of the links below in this page here on the slide. And also feel free to email myself. That's my email below, and I can get to any questions that we have to may look up some information or give you a link to something. And I'd be happy to answer those as well, like Alyssa and any other bridge builder or staff. So
We had one question from Terrell. They said, how would this benefit people? So the Bridge Builder project or community connections, how does that benefit an individual?
Well, Philip and Sam, I think that you guys, I have my own thoughts on how it benefits you, but as we have two members here that are in the project, Philip, do you have an answer for that? How has this benefit you? And then Sam can answer as well.
I think it benefits me because like I can do like stuff without my family, and it takes the responsibility off them. And it helps like set up a support network for me as well.
Yeah, so I guess what I would say is that Caleb and I are a perfect example. You know, we met in the Bridge Builder project. Actually, we met because of the improv group, and you know, we're not super close friends, but I'm always happy to hear from you and to do things with you. But I would say also, so I see a question from Cynthia Brown. Does community connections help with building friends and help with your team? So Sarah and I try to make sure it does. I mean, I think that one of the advantages of being independent of any agency is that they can help us figure out how to navigate the the spaces where we're not necessarily at the center, and like that does happen sometimes in agencies, whatever they may be, by the best of intentions. So I mean, yes, I do believe that they help with team management, although obviously every case is different, and in my case it's still sort of experiment in progress, but I'm living with my parents right now because of COVID. But
Thank you, Sam. We're almost out of time, but any last questions?
I guess I hadn't seen, but two individuals shared that owner is raising their hand to speak. So I apologize that I didn't see that.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Jack, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. And my cousin wasn't allowed to see white people on the streets because since COVID outbreak happened, wasn't allowed to see anyone on the streets since COVID.
yeah, it strikes me that that may be outside of scope, but as it so happens, we do have virtual breakout sessions that address in a very objective way, right? Things that can be objective about the facts that matter in our lives. And we do indeed help take care of members and the wider society as best we can. I think it's a internal strategic priority, and it's a priority for us as well to make sure that everybody understands what's happening in the world around them.
Any last questions before we wrap up? I think it's 45 now, actually.
Yeah, and I think we're able to stay on until 12 if needed. I just wanted to make mention, Felicia Claiborne in Milwaukee area shared that she is part of a travel group called Abilities Travel Club. They are made up of travel lovers, people with disabilities, and seniors to help independent living skills. So if anyone is interested in that, you can get in touch with Felicia Claiborne in the chat. And they have a meeting coming up on November 2nd at 10 a.m. that you could be a part of.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Felicia, for giving us that information.
Thank you, Renee.
And thank you, Alyssa, for watching the chat for me.
Of course.
Anything else? I want to thank Sam and Philip for being here and presenting with me, and for rolling with this whole thing, for switching to virtual, and everybody who's been presenting at this conference. But thank you guys for sticking with me here.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of the audience that came out. I know because I've given this presentation before that it's pretty abstract for people that don't know very much about it, and so I appreciate it.
Yes.
So much.
Someone named Sam is raising their hand to speak.
Okay. I'm not seeing it. Sam, would you want to unmute and just go ahead and ask? There's a lot of.
I have a question for Philip.
Yes.
Do you know where my friends are right now? My other cohorts?
No, I don't. No.
What?
Hey, can you explain more what you're thinking?
My friends?
Are they maybe in other sessions? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, my other cohorts.
Oh,
Nice.
there's a lot of people
Okay.
here too.
So is there a way that he can check whether he's in the right room?
Well, I don't know where my friends are. That's my question.
Do you have contact information for them that you could reach out?
Well, I just called one of my friends, but they didn't answer. But
I don't think that we're the conference organizers, so I don't think we're gonna be able to help
I
you.
don't know where they are at.
I'm sorry.
That doesn't make sense. Okay.
Hopefully you can get in touch with them before the next session.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Sam.